Today, we're cracking open a really mysterious book called the Kybalion. It claims to be an ancient guide to, well, mastering your life. So, if you've ever wanted to get a look at the rulebook for the game of life, you are in exactly the right place.
You ever have those days where you just feel like a pawn on a giant chessboard? Like you're being pushed around by your moods, by what's happening around you, or even by other people?
Well, what if I told you there's an ancient text that offers a master key, a way to flip the script, to go from being that pawn to becoming a real player, a mover in the game? That is the incredible promise of the Kybalion.
Now, this knowledge isn't some new age fad. Its origins are ancient, kind of shrouded in mystery. So let's take a quick look at where this powerful master key actually comes from.
This quote right here, it sets the whole tone. The idea is that these teachings were never just shouted from the rooftops. They were kept secret, passed down carefully from a master to a student, and only when that student was really, truly ready to get it.
And the wisdom itself? It's all attributed to this legendary figure from ancient Egypt, Hermes Trismegistus, often called the Thrice Great. He's seen as the father of all this hidden wisdom, laying the groundwork thousands of years ago.
All right, now for the first and honestly the most fundamental principle of them all. This is the bedrock. Everything else we're going to talk about is built right on top of this one idea.
And here it is, the big one, the principle of mentalism. The idea is this: everything you see, everything you experience, the entire universe, it's all a mental creation. It all exists within the mind of this vast universal living consciousness that the book calls the All.
So why is this so important? Well, think about it. If the universe is mental, that means it follows certain laws. And if you can understand those laws, you can start to apply them. That is why this is called the master key. It means reality itself isn't fixed. It can be influenced by your mind.
Okay, so if the universe is a mental game, what are the rules? The Kybalion actually lays out 7 main principles. But right now, we're going to focus on 3 of the most powerful ones.
We're going to dive into vibration, polarity, and rhythm. And trust me, once you understand these 3, you got a whole new framework for how this mental universe actually works.
First up, vibration. The Kybalion says that nothing is ever truly standing still. Everything, and I mean everything, is in constant motion, constantly vibrating. Even a solid rock is really just a swarm of atoms buzzing at a super low frequency. All the differences between things, matter, energy, even your thoughts, it's all just a matter of different rates of vibration.
Next up, polarity. Now, this one is a real brain twister. It says that opposites aren't really separate things. They're actually just 2 extremes of the exact same thing. They just differ by degree, kind of like the 2 ends of a single stick.
This hits home when you think about emotions. We tend to think of love and hate as totally separate forces, right? But this principle says, no, they're just 2 poles on one single spectrum of feeling. That means hate isn't some unique thing. It's just a different vibration on the same scale where love exists. The same goes for courage and fear.
And that brings us to rhythm. This is the pendulum swing of life itself. Everything moves back and forth between those 2 poles we just talked about in a constant, measurable rhythm. It flows out, it flows in. It rises, it falls. You see it in the ocean tides, in the rise and fall of nations. And you definitely feel it in your own energy levels, that swing from a super productive high to a time when you just need to rest.
Okay, so we've got these incredible laws, but how do we actually use them? This is where we get to the real hands-on part, the art of mental alchemy.
You know all those old legends about alchemists trying to turn lead into gold? The Kybalion says that was all just an allegory. The real transformation, the true Hermetic art, was about changing your mental states, turning the heavy lead of negative emotions into the shining gold of positive ones.
And here's where it all clicks. By using these principles, you can consciously, deliberately change your own mental vibrations. This means you are not a victim of a bad mood. You can actively choose to change your position, your polarity, on any emotional scale you want.
And here's the technique for it. It's called polarization. Let's say you're feeling fear. You don't fight the fear directly. Instead, you focus all of your attention on its opposite pole, courage. You use your will to raise your mental vibrations up towards that feeling of courage, and as you do, the fear just dissolves.
Now for the final and maybe the trickiest piece of wisdom. This is the thing that separates the people who are truly wise from those who are, let's say, half-wise. So the Kybalion gives this really serious warning. Just because you understand that the universe is mental, that does not give you a free pass to ignore its laws. The book says that's the path of the fool, who ends up getting broken against the rocks for their arrogance.
See, true mastery means you have to hold a paradox in your mind. From the absolute, cosmic point of view, yes, the universe is a kind of mental creation. But from our relative view, as people living inside it, this universe is absolutely real, and its laws are ironclad. Both are true.
So a true master doesn't deny the law of gravity by walking off a cliff. No way. Instead, they use a higher law, like the principles of aerodynamics, to build an airplane and overcome gravity that way. It's about using law against law, not pretending they don't exist.
And that takes us right back to the beginning. The Kybalion isn't about some fantasy escape from reality. It's about handing you the master key, these Hermetic principles, so you can become a conscious cause in your own life, a true player on the great chessboard.
So, you've seen the rules. You've been given the key. The game is officially on. The only question left is, how will you play?